Hi, welcome to my session at Scottish Summit 2021. I hope you're all having a brilliant day and have enjoyed your sessions so far. So, let's firstly thank our sponsors without whom today could not happen. Okay, they have paid for us being able to do this production, being able to do all the organising behind the scenes, and also to the amazing team who've organised today. I'm Laura GB. I'm a freelancer and my job title is Power Platform Consultant, which means I cover Power BI, Power Apps and Power Automate mostly, and do all sorts of work with all sorts of clients. I'm active on Twitter, Laura GB, and I'm also on LinkedIn. Laura Graham Brown is my proper name. Please do reach out. So, we've all been there. We spend hours creating that beautiful report. It fits the company theme. It's got taken data out of ridiculous data sources and transformed them into a beautiful model that is fast, etc., etc. We've spent our hours doing it. We take it to show the management, the stakeholder, the team that requested it. And we get positive comments back, brilliant report, beautiful, like it, etc., etc., etc. And then somebody spoils it all by asking that question, can I print it? My gut reaction is no, you can't. Tough. It's just not happening. But that's not a good reaction, and that's not looking after a customer, etc., which is what your stakeholders are. And so we have to be a little bit more gentle, and we have to think about the solutions that are available. So, looking at those solutions, we could export the report. We could show them how to export the report. It's probably the best solution there. We could set up some subscriptions. We could step outside of Power BI a little bit and move into Power Automate and do things in there to automatically save reports to a location. Maybe not email them every time. Maybe put them in Teams. And we can also have a look at paginated reports. What extras does that bring to the party, and does that solve the solution? So we're going to do a demo of each just to show you what's available. So let's go to our first demo of export from Power BI. So here we are in the report we're going to use for our demos today. It's a 3-page report. It's made from the idea of some issues data, very similar to some data I was using on a client, but this is randomized. So we've got a couple of pages of some charts, really simple. And then on our final page, we've got a table showing us details of the issues that have been reported to a help desk. So our first demo is to do an export. So in the Power BI service online, where this report's been published, inside the report, there's an export at the top here. We can click on there. We've got 3 formats we can pick. I'm going to go for PowerPoint. Asks you a few things before it does the export. So export with current values. You could have filters applied. You could have placed a bookmark, etc. All those things you could have done to your report. I haven't got any hidden tabs, so that's grayed out. And I'm going to go for the whole report, not just the current page. So I click export. And off it goes. Now, there's a message up in the top right hand corner. It's being exported to PowerPoint. This might take a few minutes. That could mean anything. And in my experience, it does take a few minutes, okay? So, and I'm deliberately not going to speed this up as I would for a normal YouTube video, but to give you some idea of actually how long this is going to take. And if you're wanting to do a different export for different departments, etc., or you're going to get people to do it, they're possibly going to get irritated by having to wait this long for an export to happen. And this is only a 3-page report. So it's getting there. And there we are. The message has changed to say that I've got a PowerPoint file, and in the bottom right hand corner I've got a download issues. It's gone to my thing. So if I click open file, there we are. It fires off PowerPoint. And there in PowerPoint we have, it puts a front slide on, which I normally delete, but it puts in each page of your report in as a slide. Now it's put in as a picture. So if I click on that slide, you'll see you've got a picture there that is just dumped onto every slide. Okay. So that's what's happening on each slide. If that's all you want, so that there's something you can print off, something that you can save somewhere, it works quite well. So that was our demo for using export. Now, the issue that version has is, as I talked my way through it, preparing the presentation for you, is it's slow. So let's look at another method that we could use. So what we're going to look at in this demo is subscribe. So this will send your report to an email address. So let's return back to our report, and up on the top bar again there is a subscribe button. So if we click into there, we can add a new subscription. We can give it a name. So the name of the report and who we're sending it to. I'm going to take out my address there and put in a demo address. Now, if you're sending it to an email address outside the tenancy, it has to come from a premium area, and it warns you that it's going outside. So I'm going to put into there summary report, and we can put in a message if we want to. So let's just put in some text there just so we see where it goes. The report page we want to send. How often do you want to send it? So you can pick. So if you go for weekly, it lets you choose the days, etc. And when's it going to go? And then also include. So there's all these things in here. Access to the report, link to the report, preview image. We can also put in a tick there to say add the full report. So we've seen what it looks like as a PowerPoint. Let's have a look at PDF. So we can go PowerPoint or PDF. And I can click Save and Close. And an email gets sent to say that you are getting that subscription. If I then go back into subscribe again, and there is my subscription, I can click Run Now, so I don't have to wait for the time. And it says we're sending it. Okay, it can take a little while to be sent out, but that's all you have to do, and you can arrange for it to be sent on a daily basis. So let's switch across to that email account and see if we've got an email. So this one here is saying that they've shared the report. So that's giving somebody access to the report. So that's kind of a downside of it, that actually you are giving people access to the report. So that might be a reason you don't want to do it this way. And the email will come through in a couple of minutes. So there we are. We've got our subscription come through. It's got the subject line that we expected. And if we go and look inside, you get a picture of whichever page you picked. And you get some text in there to say why they're getting the email. And you also get an attachment of the report, and there we are, landscape pages of a PDF file showing each one without a front page, which is quite good, so that could be used straight away. So that was looking at subscriptions. But the disadvantage, as far as I'm concerned, for subscriptions is that you end up with this email that doesn't look particularly friendly. It can be quite often it ends up in spam, and there's no way of doing a reply or it being a conversation, and everybody gets a copy. So you're filling up your email server, etc., full of copies of these PDFs, when actually, and we want an alternative, which would be to store these PDFs somewhere. Okay, so that was Subscribe. It works for some situations, works for some users, but our next demo we want to have a look at is using Power Automate to do this instead. So for our third demo, we're going to use Power Automate to grab a copy of the report in the format that we want, and then to put that report, and in our example, we're going to put that report into a library which can be seen in Teams. So here we are in Power Automate. So let's click on Create. And let's go for, the chances are you want this to be scheduled. So let's go for a scheduled flow. So we type in a name for our flow. Send issue report to Teams, and we're going to repeat it during the week. And again, we can pick which days we want this to go out on. So let's send it out on a Monday and Friday. And our first thing we need to do is we need to get our report. So I'm going to click on New Step. And I'm going to type in Power BI to find the connector. And we're looking here, export to file for Power BI reports. Now, it's not a premium connector for Flow, but the workspace you're connecting to does need to be a premium workspace. So the first thing we do is we pick a workspace. We pick a report. And we pick a format. So PDF, PowerPoint, or PNG. So you could just put it all out as images. Okay, and there are a number of filters you could apply throughout here to change the way your report's going out, but this is enough for now. So the next step we need to do is we need to save the contents that the export has got us. It's got us file contents. We need to save them somewhere now. So I'm going to click New Step. And it's a SharePoint action. And there is Create File. So then we drop down the file address. Data demo, folder path is going to be shared documents, don't just click on shared documents, you've got to click on the arrow, shared documents, and then we're going to go to Scottish Summit folder. Put it in the right channel, and we're going to come up with a name for it. So I'm just going to call it Issues Report, but obviously if you're doing this on a regular basis, if you want to keep the snapshots every week or whatever, you need to put a date in there as well. And remember to include the extension. So if we go back to here for a second, we went for PDF, so remember to put in the .pdf on the end of your file name. And then in your file content, you'll see that in your dynamic content, there is file content. And we can click Save. So just to prove that I'm not cheating here, let me just show you the Teams window. There you are. There's my Scottish Summit. There's my files, and it's empty. So let's go back into here and let's do a test and click test. Now, this bit is slow, okay? The export is just as slow as it was when we were doing our export. It's no quicker. The advantage, obviously, with Flow is you don't have to sit and watch it. So, for the benefit of time, I'm going to speed this up. And there we go. Our Flow ran successfully. And if I go and have a look in Teams, let's just do a quick there we are. There is our report, our PDF, and it's stored somewhere central. I'm all for putting things central rather than sending them out in an email. So there we are. There's your report in your PDF format, or you could have done a PowerPoint. Okay, so that works well. But let's look at this last page. Here we have the disadvantage that actually this page, if you're looking at it in Power BI, you could use that scroll bar. But here it's an image, it's a grab, it's a screen grab. That scroll bar is going nowhere. Okay, so for your page of charts, for your summary page like that, if they really want to print it or they really want a snapshot, this works brilliantly. As soon as you get to a page that's going to have scroll bars, this doesn't work at all. Okay, they can't do anything with those filters on the left hand side, they can't do anything with the scroll bar, etc. This is a classic example of a page that doesn't work printed. So Power Automate works great as long as you don't have scroll bars. So now we move on to our final demo of today, and that is looking at paginated reports. And this will solve the scrolling issue, okay? So we can have our table go over multiple pages. So let's go and have a look at paginated reports. So here we are in Report Builder. Now I've opened up a template that's been created ready, and building a template helps you create your paginated reports. In the resources slide for this session, I have included a link to my set of 12 videos that walk you through creating a basic paginated report. And the first of those creates a template very similar to the one you can see here. So our first job inside a paginated report is to add a data source. So over on the left hand side here, we've got data sources. I right click on data source, and we're going to go for adding a we're going to go for adding a Power BI dataset connection. You can go straight to the data if that makes sense, but in this case it doesn't. So we're going to go to our dataset connection. And there we are in the right workspace. And I'm going to click issues. Dataset name, issues, that works fine. And then we're going to click select. So that's given me a data source. Now you can have multiple data sources in your report, but for this simple example, we're going to stick to one. And then you need to create a data set. So right click on datasets and click on add dataset. And let's give it a name. So I'm going to call it active issues. And my data source is going to be the data source we've just created. And then we need to build the query. So I'm going to click on the query designer down here. And that opens another dialog box up. It takes a moment to connect up to your data set and get the relevant fields for you. So here we are. I'm going to keep it really simple in this example, and we're going to go for the issues table there. Let's expand that so we can just see the column names. And we're going to click in select our columns. So I'm going to pick priority and then status, reported, followed by reported by, and then let's go for department. So it's copying the same columns as was on the report and issue details. So there we are, we've got those go across, and I can click to execute the query. And there we are, there's my data come in. Now, I can now click OK. And in the query pane, it'll write the text of your query. So there you are, there's your evaluate and all the columns that we brought through. Now, that had in it all of my issues. I want to exclude the closed ones so that it is only the active ones. So up on the left here, we've got a number of things that we can change. If you need to rename your fields, you can put in a different name in there. But I'm going to go to filters and I'm going to click add. And the expression we're going to go for is going to be the status, and the operator I'm going to pick is not equal to, and I'm going to put into there closed. So we can put in multiple filters if we need to. Let's go back up to query and let's click OK. So there we are, we have our data set and a whole set of columns. So for this report, we're just going to include a table across here. So we're going to go for, off the insert ribbon, we're going to go for a table. And there's a table wizard, which makes it a little bit easier. So choose a data set. We've only got one, so let's pick that. And then click next. And there you are, it shows us the available fields. Now we're going to keep it really simple. I'm going to click on the top one, hold down the shift key and click on the last one, which picks them all. And then I'm going to drag and I'm going to drop those into values. And we're then going to click next. And there you are, they've put in some titles for me and I've got the data underneath. So let's click next. And then let's click finish. And there you are, it's put it at the top there. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to move it down a bit so that it's underneath the line. Now, one of the things about paginated reports is you can position things to exact details so that you know your page will lay out well. So get used to the habit of positioning it. So I'm going to go down to the right hand side here and scroll down until I find position. And then I've got location. And it's saying left, it's got an amount. So I'm just going to take that left and make it 0. And then the top, I happen to know that that green line across is at 1.5. So I'm going to put this at 1.6. So that it's just underneath the line that's there. And let's have a quick look at how that looks in our report. and then we can make some changes. So if you click run, it takes a moment. And there you are, there is our report. We can also go to print layout so you can see what it actually looks like on a page. Okay, now it hasn't got a report name on it, but that will happen when you publish it. But if we look, the column widths are a little bit wrong. Our priority can be a lot smaller, so can our status. Our date is formatted badly, and our issue details really do need to be wider, okay, to cope with the amount of text that's going to go on there. Otherwise, we've got 32 pages. So we want to reduce that down. So let's go back into design. And the first thing I'm going to do is click into the table and just pick the whole of that top row. And you'll see there are alignment at the top here. So I'm going to pick them all to be left aligned. And we can change some column widths here. So let's take that priority column and make it smaller. That status column, we probably can make it a little bit smaller. And that issue details, we can make wider. So let's just do a quick run and see what that looks like. Now it remembers that we had print layout last time, so it's kept that one for us. Now the one that's left there is, I want my priority, let's put that in the middle, and let's sort out that formatting of that date, and let's make that left aligned as well. So we can go back into design, and this just requires you to go through, and it's not as instantaneous as Power BI Desktop, but once you get your head around it, it's pretty easy. So we can click on, so I'm going to right click on that field. So I've highlighted the field and then done a right click and gone for Placeholder Properties. And there is a number in there, and you can choose what format you'd like it to be. So I want it to be a date, and that will work fine. And then let's click OK. And let's also make sure it's left aligned. Let's make everything in that one left aligned, apart from the priority box. And let's make that centered. So let's run it again. And there we are. We've got ourselves a report. Okay. So looking in our report, there's a couple of other things you might want to do. We want to pick some sort, because at the moment it just seems to be random. So we're going to go for the reported, so that we have the oldest first going through our report. And then if we click onto our next page, you'll see that you haven't got a table heading, so we don't know what the different columns are. So we want to fix that as well. So let's go back into design mode. So in order to do the reporting, so in order to sort by reported and to do some repeated rows, we need to, from the view ribbon, we need to bring in grouping. Okay. Now on the group rows, I'm going to go for the details, and I'm going to drop down the arrow, and we're going to go to group properties, and under sorting, I'm going to add a sort, and we're going to sort by the reported column and A to Z. So let's click OK. And let's do a quick check of that. So back onto the home ribbon and let's press run. And then we can see our report is sorted by the reported with the oldest first and the dates increasing as we go down the page. So the next one is to sort out putting in our headings onto multiple pages so that on page 2 we get some table headings as well. So let's go back into design mode. So our first step is to, on the column groups, there's a little drop down at the end here. We can drop that down and go into advanced mode. And this brings in some extras which are all called static. So over on the row groups, we click on static. And then there are some properties that appear over on the right hand side in the properties pane. And there is one there called repeat on new page, and currently it's false. So I'm going to click into there and I'm going to change it to be true. So now let's go and run our report. And there we are, there's our first page. And if I click onto my next page, there we are, we get the column headings going through on our multiple pages. So let's go back into design. And I think our report is now ready to publish. So I'm going to firstly save. And secondly, go to File and click Publish. If yours doesn't have a publish, you need to update your report builder to the latest version because this is a recent update. And I'm going to publish to the Power BI service. And let's put it in the same workspace. And let's call it Active Issues. And let's click Save. So now let's switch across to the Power BI service. And there we are. There is our report. It's just appeared saying active issues. And if I click onto it, there we go. There is our report. It's sorted and it's got the column headings as we expected. If I change my view to be page view, we can move on to our next page. And there we are. We have our report across. Now, paginated reports have the issue that they have to be in a premium workspace. They're a premium feature. But with our premium per user license, it's currently in preview, but is going to go live in not too long, a couple of months. So if you want to play with paginated reports, now is your time to do it, okay? Because whilst premium per user is in preview, it's free, okay? So you can add it onto your pro and you get a 60-day premium per user license, which will renew, okay, until April. And then they will be announcing prices, etc., of how much it'll be. But just like on demo 1, we can subscribe to this report. So if I click subscribe, we can add a new subscription. The one difference in here is our format that's come through is we have multiple formats that can be picked up. It could be an Excel file or even a Word document, etc., which allows you to do a data capture as well, which is an interesting one to do. off of a paginated report as well, another feature that's available. So that is my fourth demo. Okay, so that is taking a data set and putting it into a paginated report. So paginated reports allow you to create that pixel perfect report. You can lay out all the items on a page to make sure they exactly fit onto that printed page. So if a printed page is the solution that they are looking for, it's worth you spending the time getting your head round paginated reports and how that's going to work. Not every user needs to have the premium per user license, which would work, which is what you need for paginated reports. You either need premium per user or a premium workspace. So it's going to have to go into a workspace that's got premium per user or premium capacity attached. So that means it's going to be in limited places for some companies. But that's all that's required, because you can subscribe. You could also use Power Automate, as in Demo 3. Instead of connecting to a report, you connect to a paginated report. Also, you can add in parameters to filter these reports down, so that we could turn around and say, just give me the ones that are in marketing. And you can run this report, subscribe to this report with different filters applied. So it's all very well me talking about paginated reports, but where do we go next? So your first job is to go and find paginated reports to download, and this will be the links that's on the resource slide. So to come here, click download and install it. The next is to go and find resources. So my first is I created a playlist. I did 12 days of paginated reports over Christmas, and this will walk you through the beginnings of building a report. And once you're happy with that idea as a concept, the next step is to go and find some other resources as well. And Microsoft have produced a paginated reports in a day course. So this works pretty well. It walks you through. There are videos and there's an outline. So you've got 25 videos to go through. And all of them come up with, there's videos to talk through, and there is a self-study kit that you can go and do. And that gives you a way to link up to a database that's available, okay? And to create the reports along with Chris Finland is one of the hosts on here and one of the tutors, and paginated reports is his baby. Okay, so it's his one of his main products, and he walks you through it, and it's a really nice course to walk through. In a day, in my experience, the 4 hours of viewable content doesn't take up for the fact that you've got to go and build things. So a long day is possibly the best description in here, and it allows you to build up a pretty good report and walk you through some of the things. You'll see some overlap between the topics done at the intro of this and the topics I've done on my paginated reports. And he does go through connecting up to a Power BI dataset, whereas my videos do connecting to SQL Server. And also Chris Finland has a YouTube channel of his own, which he puts in some examples of some things that are in there. Just recently, there has been a new blog post that does some really cool things in Power BI, paginated reports. And down here, my favourite one here is this one of showing a percentage of value full. So for me, the idea of doing that as stock in a warehouse, that kind of concept, is a really good one. This is a lovely tutorial that's been put together, and I will put a link to there. It's done by somebody who really does know what they're doing. And if you can find a use for the Archimedean spiral, I want to know, because isn't that pretty? But some of the things we need to learn here are, if you go and do the pretty things, you work out how some of the complicated things work. And if you look here, we've got some lovely charts here with tables underneath and colours, etc. And that is a really good visual to put inside a paginated report. And then there is Paul Turley. He's done some amazing work, and this is one of his paginated reports. He also has his own blog as well. He's worth looking at. If you haven't come across Paul Turley, do look him up. He does some fantastic things in regarding rolling some Power BI concepts out wider. So he does some fantastic stuff out there. And if I was going to talk about people that are keen on paginated reports, you've got to include the paginated report bear. And who else? Which other product has a soft toy supporting it and their own Twitter account? So follow the paginated report bear, because he actually announces the things. There's some hints there. I'm expecting some good announcements if paginated report bear is excited about Ignite. So links to all these resources can be found on the slide deck that is available. And I will tweet out a link to a blog post that supports this session straight after this session finishes. Thank you for coming to my session. My name is Laura GB. Please reach out, send me questions on Twitter, send me questions on LinkedIn or here in chat. It would be great. I hope I've answered some questions as we've been going. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your time here at Scottish Summit. Please do fill in the feedback. It helps us speakers improve. It helps us speakers get better at what we do. And the only way we can hear what you liked and what you didn't like is by you giving us some feedback. So remember to visit our sponsors and have a good day. Take care now.